Alrighty.
I'm gonna Robert coming up.
Hi, Robert. You're,
Utility project rate.
what you always do.
You'll come to it.
You can introduce Dale. Daniel.
All right, so I guess for starters, you've already seen the line item, the bullet point requests.
Oh, yeah, for the department, yeah, we're talking about those this afternoon.
Right.
This is just the rate study.
Right. So just as introduction for Dale, this morning we have retained McGill again. Of course, Dale is representing this morning. Dale is continuing with the town's CIP update, the rate surveys in the same capacity that he has in the past. So I'll bring him up here just in a second, but I just want to let y'all know that this is basically the first meeting for this. I know you had some things you wanted to discuss, which I have lightly discussed with Dale, but he's really looking for direction at this point in how to build, and then we will be beginning this update with this meeting and your direction on the direction that we're going to move forward with the update. So you'll be used to the updates, you've seen it before, and the intention for Dale is simply to continue with that process, continue keeping us financially on track while making progress in the utility department. So
One thing, well, Daniel, one thing, Dale will be working on in the next couple of months. Because of the one incident this past November, we were adding $1, we started this budget adding $1 for the deposit intake, and this will be the third year of this water sewer increases for general projects. One thing that we'll be looking at this next year is what if we took a year off on the water sewer rate increases for general projects, and this year when we had the $4 increase, put that all towards the intake. So that would be the intake increase, and then the last 3 years we will look on just the general water sewer increases of the $1.50 for each fund. We'll see how that pans out. So that's really, if there's any change, that will be the biggest change in what we're doing.
And a few of the other small things are, we're currently moving forward with the water line and sewer main replacement project. Those are not yet completely reflected through our CIP, which he will be updating, and then again, some of the lake projects that will need to go in, that I will be working with Dale to get all of this in, so we arrive at a finalized product for your consideration at the budget period of time. So, with that, I will just, if you're ready, Dale, I will have you come along.
Morning, Mayor, council members, staff, and all the people here in attendance. It's good to be back on Beech Mountain. It was my first residence in North Carolina for about a year and a half. As we constructed the water plant, I see that's finally 100% complete, which is good. Took a little doing, but we got there. As I was here during that process, Robert and I had a little bit of a discussion about rates and things along those lines, and asked if I could do a rate study, which I did. And from then, we've been doing kind of an annual update. I'm here today just to introduce myself and a little bit about the process, those sorts of things. We'll be diving into what are the numbers and what are the results based on the model that I produced for Beech Mountain and so forth. Again, a rate study is a three-component process. Number one, we're looking at revenue requirements. How much money does it take to make it go? And that includes what we have to do today, operation and maintenance, what we're projecting in terms of salaries, benefits, utilities, chemicals, all those sorts of things to make the operation run. And then the biggest component, as you well know, is the capital improvement schedule. That's where the biggest expenses occur, and that's where you have, quite frankly, the most control over what you're going to do to affect rates. We can defer things, we can prioritize things, and we can choose to pay cash, pay as you go, or debt service. You sell bonds, or you borrow money, or grants, or those sorts of things to fund those capital improvement projects. Okay, so all of those things together, we've developed a model that we can look at various scenarios, various what ifs. What if we reprioritize a little bit, work on the sewer here rather than the water over there? Those sorts of things in terms of what is it going to cost our ratepayers, okay? You have a huge project out there, the water intake project, and, you know, we've landed that in a couple of spots, trying to figure out what that would do, what the rates would look like as that project comes online. We can continue to make those refinements as we learn a little bit more about the scope and the timing of that particular project, as well as others. We can also tailor that to some of the local conditions. We know that the construction season is fairly short here on Beach Mountain. We've talked a little bit about maybe consolidating a number of projects and maybe continuing those over a couple of construction seasons, maybe to get a little better interest from bidders and those sorts of things to overcome some of those challenges. So what I'll be doing today is I've got my list of things today, and with utility staff, we're going to go through capital improvements projects that we have currently in the schedule, look at scope, look at timing, look at prioritizing and scheduling, and see how all that stuff lays out, which again is the largest impact that you have on the rate model and eventually to your customers. So again, it's a pleasure to be here. Good to see a lot of familiar faces, and it's good to be part of the process.
You said there were three components to this: the revenue requirements, CIP, and what's the third
Oh,
component?
the third is rate structure.
Rate structure.
Yeah,
Rate
so-
structure.
Yeah, so what we do is we then, after we figure out all the costs to run the utility, then we allocate those costs to function and to customer type. Okay, so that way we have equity. So one customer class isn't subsidizing the other more than what is customary or reasonable. And we're not going to be perfect with every single bill and every single rate structure, but we look at some equity issues. So, you know, if let's say the customer's class of residential is responsible for 80% of the volume, then they should be paying about 80% of the expenses. But if they're paying 30% of the expenses and another customer class is subsidizing that, then those are the kind of things we identify through the modeling and through the rate study to say, here's a condition that you have, would you like to address that and how? And here's some options as to what we can do. Did some rate work for a college town, and we found that the multifamily customer class was subsidizing to a pretty good extent the residential. Brought that to the attention of the decision makers, and they said, we leave that alone. That's what we want. Those folks don't pay taxes here, that's what we want to do, leave it alone. Okay. But my job is to make sure that you know and are aware of those things, so we make the decision based on the things we have, not just some supposition or something. So, any other questions? I'll be glad to answer those. Otherwise, my contact person is Daniel. We are going to dive into this thing today and get started on it. Thank you very much for your time.
Thanks, Dale.
All right, any questions before we move on to we have plenty of time for sanitation discussion now.
Oh yeah.
Okay,
All right, Robert or Matthew, y'all come up together or how?
How do you want to start this?
I'll just start with some of the information you got from council meeting, or council last meeting.
Start with income and then worry about expenses.
Start it like all food fights. Throw something at someone.
Now, I do, Daniel sent me some figures, but I hadn't shared any figures or anything, so y'all start from scratch. That, if
You have
start-
that overview?
I do have the overview, I can pull that up. Yep, there that is.
Can you blow that up a little bit?
Let's see.
bottom, right? Bottom right,
Oh,
right
there we
there.
go, yeah. There we go. All right. I think that's gonna do that. Is that good enough now? All right.
Thank you.
This is some of the stuff we were asked to look up after the council meeting last week. So we spent pretty much most of the end of last week doing it. We got most of it. Some of it's on there. I think a little bit of it we don't have on there that Matt has. Some questions were asked, water compactors, because those guys do compacting. That's pretty close. My guess is if we do want the compactor in the existing recycling center, we think, I think you get in there and get a truck out, it's gonna be tight. Just because of the length he does when he has to pull the compactor itself out. But this is stuff we've got from Baker Waste. They're going about 55 and 9. We had told him around between 60 and 70. It depends on the site work, because we can only use one side of the recycling center to put this in because it has to be on a concrete pad. It has to have some good stability. The lower side next to the Beach Mountain Workaway is off field. And I don't think any of us want to go in there and dig all that up and recompact it where those things not will sink. So 60 is probably a good number to put one in. That includes getting the compactor, the concrete, the electrical, the covers, everything to keep it alive and use it. The good part of that, if you buy it now, you can always transfer the compactor. The bad part is that other $30,000 you're just pouring out there. None of it can be, concrete, electric can't be.
You're gonna be limited to what you can do.
Yeah, the only thing you're gonna be able to move itself is the compactor, and you'll just pick it up and the control panel, take it wherever. Concerns, it is space limited down there. I think I had a conversation the other day, when they first built, Riley was here, Pete was here. When they first put this in was when I came up here to work in 1990, and it was a true recycling center. We did all pick up, everybody got picked up. And they just went from underground cans to, they were starting to put in above ground cans, but most of that was an OSHA issue. Because that's about the time we came under OSHA regs, which we hadn't been under. So that was a true recycling center. And it was a component of the solid waste act that the state had done that we would provide recycling. So I think there was one dumpster in there when I came. That was just for people who came in, came out. Since that time, it is kind of, I don't know if it's been planned to grow into what it is now, to take the trash, but that's what it's become. And, the deal is, there's not a lot of space. And it's not laid out in a way to be functional for that. The town's garbage pickup and the schedule that we run trucks and stuff on was set up to pick up all the garbage. You can pick up this section of town, haul it out. Next day you pick up this section of town. Now we're kind of getting to the point that we're running everybody into the recycling center. And it's interesting down there. It gets scary sometimes we walking through there. But, we'll do what we can. So, going to the next set of questions that we talked about was adding some containers. The 12-yard containers, you've seen the box, 20-yard roll-off recycling containers. I think that's something you talked about. Is getting 2 more recycling containers and letting them store one and bring the other back. That's the cost of those.
And let me comment on what we're talking about. See, now when they take a container up, it's off the mountain, it's not in use. If we bought like another container for the plastic bottles and had it on site, when Republic comes up here, they put an empty one, they take the old one, dump it, they leave the old one down there, and that would make a little bit better functionality. They would have to store some dumpsters for us, but then there would be no lost time, and there'd be a fresh dumpster in here. I've done this in other places. So anyway, I just wanted to kind of, thanks for letting me jump in and clarify why we were even thinking about doing that.
Can you not throw all the recycling into one container?
No,
They're actually,
it's separated.
that's doors in it. That they separated it. Look, standard 30-yard container roll-off. We have one down there now. We brought another one in for the weekend to see if we get it in there. We did. It's tight. It's tight. That's the cost if we buy them. The reason we put cost to buy them on here is, in last year's budget, we approved to buy a garbage truck. As we have changed, the scope of what y'all want to see done down there, we've kind of backed off the rear loader garbage truck and started looking, well, if we're gonna go compactors, we really need something to haul the things, instead of waiting for contracting to have them haul. So that's what we're looking at with this truck. It would be a tandem truck, to actually haul the roll-offs and the containers. Matt can talk about that when I get done here in just a minute. But, it would let us haul recycling, it would let us haul the roll-offs, it would also let us haul the compactors.
But one truck would do it.
Yeah. We have to do make sure everything is the same hookup. There's different kinds of hookups, but we're looking
You'd
at
be
that.
looking at $150,000 for a truck.
That's what we put in.
But instead of another traditional
Garbage
garbage
truck,
truck,
we
we
could
would
be
be
something we could do. And if we go to compactors, that's probably the better route.
understood.
So I'm
Because we're gonna end
kind
up having two compactors, right?
right.
And we talked about it, Robert said he thinks he can get another year off the existing trucks now if we bought a
We'll
new,
try.
if we bought a new truck to actually haul these containers. And then that'll give us more flexibility if we're hauling.
Yeah. Before I go on, the main thing we're looking for right now is some guidance. Yeah. Yeah. If y'all give me a direction to go in, I can probably figure out how to get you there and get you a cost and see if you want to do it. And that's where we're at now. We're in this gray area. Where are we going to go? Are we going to go stay where we are, try to survive until we decide if we're going to build a new deal and redo the whole structure, or are we going to try to upgrade this one? Yeah, I'm kind of in the middle. And yeah, we're just giving you some ideas to look at, you to think about. Hopefully, as this process goes through, we can get some more guidance to know where we're going.
So, did you look at cost with rentals?
That's next.
Okay.
2 8-yard rental containers, front load dumpsters from Republic Services, are $493 plus tax per week. They pick up 1 day a week up here, that's on Wednesday.
What was that price?
$400, Matt,
$490.95.
And that's for both of them or just for one?
That's for two.
that's
For
for
two.
2.
These are smaller than, you said 8 yard, these are smaller than the
We
ones
have
they
12
had.
yards now.
And what size is
We're gonna
that?
have a full
8 yard.
full
That's
dumpster
8
sitting
yard?
there
8
for
yard.
5 days a week.
Yeah.
If we're only hauling it off one day.
For $2,000 a month.
Yeah.
Let me make sure I understand this. For an 8-yard container, for 2 of them, they're gonna charge $500 a week.
Come pick them up.
Every Wednesday. Just to give you perspective, we are emptying dumpsters twice a day down there now. We do it in the morning, first thing, then we come back and do it again before we leave. We technically have 5 dumpsters that are regular load dumpsters. We have 2 cardboard dumpsters, and right now we have 2 30-yard roll-offs and 2 bins for construction and
Now that the ones we have now, Republic picks them up only once a week, those 30?
Republic is not picking those up. The only ones Republic picks up are the roll-offs and the
30
recyclables.
But the 31 we have, the 30 we have up there now,
They'll do it once a week.
they'll pick that
What he
all,
usually do, he'll bring in one and take that one with him.
but it's once a week.
He prefer to do it once a week.
And those are the ones you're using to dump the resort garbage into?
And anything else we can get in it.
But they're on a Beach Mountains account set up on a call basis, but they'll come twice a week, or 3 times a week,
They'll
or
come,
4 times a week.
At what cost?
probably, yeah.
Exactly. We're gonna pay for it.
No, it's there. Yeah, they'll come, go back up 10. I had it wrong. Back down where that big chart was. Right there. Yeah, they'll come. The cost to get that 30-yard empty is $132. That's for the trip, plus the tonnage.
Correct?
The recycle bins are straight up $200 cost. Yeah, they're gonna come, but they would prefer to come once a week. And usually what we try to do is we empty it later in the week, and
Yeah,
then
for the weekend.
for the weekend.
But if you get bad weather, they're not gonna come up
And
anyway.
that way they're not gonna come. So the containers, that's the rental cost of those. We don't really have anywhere to put them. And I just don't think, it's an interesting idea, but I just don't see it working because it's gonna get filled up and then you're gonna be sitting there with it until next Wednesday. Cardboard hauling, we have a whole thing on cardboard hauling that we went through. It's pretty complicated, but the gist of it is, the regional manager says they will not pay for our cardboard. China will not pay for it. To be able to get any money at all out of cardboard, it has to be 0.05% contaminated. He said, unless you're running a pure business that you're just bringing the cardboard in and boxes and dumping it, he said, it's gonna be contaminated. There's no way we can get uncontaminated cardboard up here, because we have too many people putting stuff in, wax, all that stuff. So, the cost for us to haul cardboard is $125 a load. Wet, dry,
Pink, yellow, doesn't
yellow,
matter.
whatever.
We pay, they don't.
We pay $125. They will not pay us for cardboard. How many people did you call in?
Talk to Ford, it would be.
Yeah.
They
They
got
are.
up as high as the regional manager down, it's downstate somewhere. It's just not.
We do emails. I think we hauled 13 out last week, and we'll go get 10 again and just get them again. The last part of that is this recycle bin cost, the additional, what it costs us to run those 30 yards in and out of here. So you figure we're doing 1 week at least. I'll need both of them, and that's the cost of the generator.
Well, I'd like to ask council to get back to Robert's first request for some direction. It is my understanding that we are moving forward, that we had decided to do a new public works facility, including a rearrangement of how we handle our solid waste. If that is not the will of the council, then I'm going to get behind Widener a little in that something needs to be done with our existing facility. But if we are in fact intent on changing the layout down there, improving that, I'm less concerned, Widener, about how it looks in the next 18 months to a year. We support them to do everything we can to manage it in that time. But I guess now I'm polling you guys. Is my understanding of our position incorrect?
No, the plan is, when they build a new building, the recycling or the convenience center is being relocated
Okay.
and is going to be adjusted for 2 compactors and everything else to be done.
I guess then my understanding is we start moving dirt on that this spring. That is how committed we are to doing this project.
Yes.
If this is something where it's going to be 2-3 years and this remains a nice thought,
No.
it would be nice to have, then I believe something needs to change with what we have.
What's the time frame?
Well, I think it's supposed to be bid out in March. Is it March, April, what we're looking at now? So there's a reasonable expectation it could be the start of construction or grading in June or July of this year. And like I said, we'll still be in the budget process, so by March, if there's gonna be a snafu and it's not gonna be bid out, we'll be able to let council know. But I see no reason, because they've been working on design for some time now. What threw them for a loop was the lead stuff, and we had to do a little bit more for the lead certification, but we're moving forward. On the recycling center, we were gonna have a house with cardboard in addition to the attendance house, so that's gonna put the cardboard in the dry and keep it from being an eyesore. 2 compactors. We had not talked about having another house or facility for like the furniture, but I think we may wind up adding that, so I need to talk to Riley about adding that to design. So like when people leave out mattresses and stuff, you won't see it. If it has 2 doors you slide, you can get that in and out. The only thing that I think right now we will not be able to cover up is probably the metal recycling container. We might lower, we'll come up with some ideas if we can, but that might be the only visible one we can't hide. Because the way he has to pull it up and dump, we can't build a building, to allow that to happen, so.
But the idea of the building for the cardboard is not to make the cardboard sellable, it's just to get it out of sight.
Yeah, yeah.
So if you're not
It'll
going
keep
to,
it out of the weather a little bit too. So that takes some.
And it keeps it from, stuff from blowing around or whatever, and it makes it look more efficient when you go through it, so. But like I said, right now, we're on track, I was saying that we could start grading and construction in June. My thing for the total thing to be open, it may be June of 2020 before everything is open, so that's why we say 18 months.
Which is an aggressive timetable to my mind, as long as it is the will of this council and the town that we move forward aggressively with that project. if it remains in the discussionary phase or something like that, then we maybe need to address the current facility. But that would be, my position, is why I spoke so strongly at council, is we are going to fix this, was my understanding.
Yes.
So I think we can survive a year and a half doing what we're doing. And yeah, there are going to be some days, which just means, hey, there's people on the mountain, where the dump's going to look like a dump.
Probably Sunday, Monday.
Yeah.
I just think that we've outgrown the space and the new facility will be better. I think the trends are showing that a lot of people are buying homes on Beach Mountain to use as rental properties that might not have been used as frequently as they are being now. And I think that showed during the Christmas holidays, that you're getting a lot of people up here. We've always gotten a lot of people up here during those holidays, but with the online rentals, you know, people are buying investment houses and, you know, there's no going back on that. And frankly, where I work, if that is indicative of what's going on around Beach Mountain, I mean, it's going crazy with people buying investment properties.
I mean, you know, we look at this as a problem. To me, it is, you know. But we look at it as a bad problem. But, you know, if you step back and look, especially from a lot of y'all's perspective who are in business up here, this is not a bad problem to have. Because it means one thing. It means that economically, the town is doing pretty good.
Town's growing.
Yeah, and I think there's, like Renee said, Airbnb, there are a lot of rentals out there, you know, Carl, you'd be better to talk about that than I do. They're not going through these guys, but there's a lot more people up here than what I'm used to. You know, right now we're dead, but you come up here on the weekend, you know, Matt was up here Sunday. It's a lot busier than we're used to seeing it on these off weekends. You know, we used to have the Winterfest up here on the week after to try to pick up some business. Even they used to con us into making sleds for their sleigh races, that cardboard derby thing. But, you know, it's not a bad thing. It's just how we deal with it. You know, and that's just what we need some guidance.
If we had 2 extra cans, right now, I think I saw at the resort, at the recycling center, in the past, there's been four dumpsters for,
You didn't count the one on the other side. For
So
the slide,
so now there's,
5. There's been
how
5.
many is there in a row now?
There's 5 and 2 cardboards. And
I thought
one
there was
cardboard, they
6.
Turned it into a trash dumpster, so
Yeah.
we made us leave it for the weekend.
So if we were able to put a Band-Aid on it, you know, if this project's supposed to come to fruition in a year and a half, we may be looking at, there's going to be obstacles that are
There's gonna be days
that
it's
are
gonna be
going to
ugly.
delay this project. And I think that if we think it's going to be done in a year and a half, it's probably going to be more like 2 years. And we need to come up with a Band-Aid now, not a you know, a long-term solution, because a long-term solution is going to be the compactors. But even if we looked at potentially, you know, purchasing 2 more cans, 2 more dumpsters, and, you know, they're put back behind the recycling center.
What do we have now? Down there.
And then on busy weekends, you have that as a avenue to replace the ones that are full and give you some breathing room.
Rob,
Well, you can leave them,
move forward with the line truck now, we gain additional thought.
Now, the other thing is that I mentioned the other day is that with the metal recycling, how often does that get, I mean, the real estate there is obviously is valuable.
That's all they get money out of.
So,
We try to pack it as much as we can, not to be overweight. It goes to almost Jonesboro, Tennessee.
so what if we temporarily got rid of that and we're able to put, you know, a larger can there? Temporarily.
Right now, we have,
We have moved stuff around. Have you been in since yesterday?
No.
We've got 6 18 yards. We've got 2 recycling. We've got 2 30 yards now.
It looks different from yesterday
Yeah, it's-
versus last week.
It's,
It's 100%
we,
different.
well,
rearranged.
I came in Sunday and emptied them Sunday morning. A guy came back in, emptied them Sunday evening, and Monday morning, yesterday morning, Monday morning, we had emptied them again.
I mean, the test is gonna be this weekend, you know, this is gonna be one of our busiest
Like I
weekends.
said, we got 2:30
Well,
now.
let me, I'm sorry to interrupt. If this new truck, instead of a traditional garbage truck, is gonna increase our capacity to haul the garbage away, empty it, would that not be the better solution? If this would fit in our long-term plans, we're gonna buy around it, buy that truck now, give them the capacity to empty the dump more frequently, because space is limited. If this is money we're gonna spend that fits our larger plan, let's empower them to buy that truck now and improve their ability to haul the dump away. That meets what I'm hearing from you is you want it to look better. You want it, right now, it's not a matter of the number of dumpsters, it's their ability to haul them away. If that purchase would increase that capacity and it fits into our longer term goal, I have no problem with amending the budget to send them out to go buy it today.
If we give you the go-ahead today,
It's already.
what's your time period?
It's got about a 7. I'll tell you right
Yeah, you've
now. Now, I've got one quote came in. I'm waiting on 2 more. This one here is, I think it was a 7-week wait on it.
Yeah, it's gonna take an update, it's gonna take 8 weeks.
How much are one of the standard cans now? That's an 8 yard? What's the,
No,
co-
12.
Well,
They're $3,000. Please.
Top line.
Yeah, top line.
I thought they were smaller than 12 yards.
No, they're $12. The
That's the
little-
can, you still have to haul it.
A $6,000 investment, and I don't look at that being expense. A $6,000 investment.
Question is, the point is,
If you can't haul it
if you
away.
can't haul it away, it's gonna sit there full. So
Yeah.
there's no purpose to it. You can only haul so many a day.
And again, I'm with Wider, if we increase their capacity to haul and it makes sense to add 1 or 2, if we really want to attack it, an additional $6,000. And I realize this is taxpayer money. It is not that significant. I mean,
It's a lot of money, but it's not.
It's not
Yeah.
in the grand scheme of things, and whether we're able to resell them or whatever. But at the end of the day, I think getting the truck is first.
That's first.
I mean, if it fits, then that ties you to whatever purchase you have to make when we start planning the other, because it all has to be.
It helps. on
To
that.
work.
The deal with this new truck is, it's actually a haul truck, it's the same ones that you see, it's the same style trucks you see.
Republic,
Come up here, pick up. It will be hauling big 30 yards. What that gives us capacity, instead of them coming once, or when the weather's good, or whenever they can schedule, because they have other business too, they're going everywhere. It gives us control over, we can haul at 30. And if we can do that, we can take some of the pressure, I think, off of those regular 12-yard dumpsters. And where we get in trouble is when the barriers come back out. Yeah,
because
that's
there's no
about,
tops to them.
there's no top to it. We'll have to figure out something to try, and I'm not gonna say here and say it's gonna work, because y'all know how the barriers.
Well, that'd be a fence when the thing gets done. So this is what I would propose is that, rather than making, I don't know how quick we have to make a decision on the $150,000, but make sure that we have all the information necessary, required to make a good, solid decision. $150,000, it is a lot of money. But between now and maybe the next council meeting or the next few weeks, if we can get all the information necessary, how it's going to save us money short-term, long-term, how it's going to increase capacity, make Beach Mountain more efficient with number of trips going to the dump. Now we're going maybe or to Watauga landfill if we're going 5 times a week, or we're going to go 3 times a week, and make sure that we have all of our true costs identified. But until then, we look to Republic Services, especially like for this weekend. We look to Republic Services to put a couple additional cans here for the overflow.
I don't know where to put them.
We're gonna have.
Yeah, but you can take, when the cans that you have now, when they get full, you can take them back behind and they have lids on. You can close the lids and put them back behind the recycling center, can't you?
Republic uses different cans.
I'm talking about the cans that you have now.
The 12 yards,
We use a rear loader.
they use a front loader, so they can't
They
do
won't
anything
empty
with
our
it.
dumpsters.
Let me make one clarification on the truck. The garbage truck was budgeted for this year. we've held off on the purchase, waiting to see, are we going to compactors or not? And that's kind of where we need to go. That's the answer I need as far as the truck goes. Once we get, are we gonna go with the compactors and use the roll-off truck, then I can go ahead and get the truck rolling.
So I think we this morning.
That's already paid for.
We're hearing that we can actually go ahead with the truck because.
Well, we're gonna get compactors.
Yeah.
And we've already approved the truck, so
Trucks are.
Well, we've approved a garbage truck.
Yeah.
Not this called a line truck, it's
It's a roll-off truck.
roll. Yeah.
So we could go ahead.
But if it makes more sense
Move that.
to provide them that, even if it's additional money than what was budgeted, it fits, to my mind, that's the long
it goes into
smarter.
the plan for the
It's-
future.
And we'll verify that before the next council meeting. If it's within $4,000 or $5,000, what we said, we can go ahead and make the order.
We should have everything by next
If
council.
it's, extremely more expensive, then we'll come back, but I don't think it will be.
I've got one quote in, we're waiting on
What's the quote you have now?
170. But it's a nice truck.
What is it, international, what is it?
Mack.
So that would be the $15,000 budget. then.
That's
It's not a Ford.
That's an auto. So we're waiting on 3 other quotes.
I hope one's a Ford.
Who are you quoting it to?
We just send them out. We spec them the motor, what they're trying.
Let me ask a question to the council right here, or Daniel, on this. So, is there, on the first 2 lines there, the standard 12-yard container, that's the
Agreements we have that.
the agreements we have now with their triangle shapes, so we could buy 2 more of those. If we bought did the first 2 line items right now, would that help us out? Buy 2 more of those and buy 1 20-yard recycle.
We don't have truck haul 20 yards. That's what the new truck is for.
The line, so once we get a new truck, it could haul 20 yard.
Yeah,
So,
so up to 40 yards.
so we wouldn't need to buy the 20 yard now, but we could buy it 3 months from now,
Yes.
once the truck comes in.
Or we could buy 2 of the 12-yard now.
Yeah.
Do you have room for
Dude,
those
that,
two?
yeah,
What is lead time on this?
On the cans, it's give or take 10 weeks, but one of the things we're kind of overlooking is if we move to the line truck now, okay, the line truck can haul, Matthew has already priced 40-yard cans for $6,000. Okay, if we move to the line truck now, as opposed to buying more gear that won't necessarily be as usable or max volume for the new truck, we're kind of throwing that money away. If we move to the line truck now, we move to the 40-yard containers now. If you simply look at the footprint of the 40-yard containers, we can put 3 40-yard cans in a row down there as opposed to 5 12-yard cans. You do the math and you're more than doubling your volume. As well as that truck has the ability to haul our recycling in the future, and all of these things can easily be moved into the new thing. So by moving to the line truck now and going with the 40-yard plan, you're effectively, as soon as it arrives, doubling the volume by ton capacity within the recycling center as it sits, simply because the boxes are larger, they're taller. Not only that, we start to gain the ability to stop paying Republic for these services that we can do ourselves. Taking the cardboard, eventually, I'm not sure about the cardboard, sorry, but the recycling, the cans, those things we begin to move, again, simply by moving to that truck now. We would need to do that measurements for the 40-yard cans, but we know right now we have 2 30-yard cans sitting down there. So if we go ahead and migrate away from the small stuff, the 12s, the 18s, the 20s, and move to the 40s, we're immediately doubling up on the volume that we can retain at one time within a can and not be sending.
And that's a good point, because, we need to look at not what we have today, but 2 years from now, 5 years from now, because, the trend of Beach Mountain is growing. So, make that investment now in the larger cans.
And again, with the prices, we were looking at the 20-yard can for $6,000. Well, we can get the 40-yard for the line truck for $6,000. Twice the volume for the same price.
So we're talking about space. To put a Band-Aid on this thing temporarily, what if the metal container was moved and we were able to get another can or 2 in that spot?
You're done digging.
Sorry?
There are 30 yards sitting there now.
So you moved where'd you move that to?
We moved it over to the other side. Squeezed the dumpsters together and moved it there.
Well, what about leaving everything the way it is?
Good idea.
And then looking at the commercial side of getting commercial to take care of their own garbage for the next 18 months or 24 months or forever. Because looking at your schedule, fee schedule, it's costing us more money to haul their garbage than what they're paying us. I mean, you look at the brick oven, they're paying us $59.
Yeah, and
It
one
costs-
of them here was
It
like
costs more
$16.
than that for us to take it to the dump. So, to me, one of the solutions would be is to leave everything the way it is until we're ready and get the truck. Take commercial and have them go out and bid their own garbage. And that would save us room as far as the recycling center.
I think that's a good idea.
Because looking at the fees, I mean, that's a joke.
Yeah, somebody's paying $10.88. Someone's paying $16.32, $17.68.
Right, it's a joke.
Yeah, I mean, you can't, I mean, what can you operate for $16? I mean, that's a, knee-jerk reaction, that's definitely an option, but I'd also, well, let me back up. We don't know where these fees came up with, do we? What the
Yeah.
formula is.
I think it came back from when Joe Perry was here,
Yeah.
and
I mean, these fees could be 100 years old for all you know.
Yeah,
There's no question about it. But
There's no rhyme or reason to it.
right, there is none whatsoever. But the point is, we have a situation we have to deal with.
so I would
Now,
think,
if it's costing the town money to take somebody else's garbage to the dump, then we need to send out letters saying as of June 1st, they're on their own. And that would alleviate a lot of the problem.
I don't think that you send them a letter saying they're on their own. I think you send them, your rate is going to increase to something comparable to what a commercial hauler would get.
Well, that's okay, but then we're still.
we're back in the trash
We're
business.
still back in the trash business.
But
We don't
we're a
wanna
town,
do
we are in the trash business.
Well-
This is one of the services that we provide to the
Ab-
citizens, and these businesses are also
But you said-
tax-paying citizens of the town.
I agree with
I'm
that.
not arguing
I
that
agree
they're
with that.
underpaying. But I'm saying you don't tell them we're not gonna do it, you just tell them you're gonna pay us a commercially viable rate for that
They're
service.
gonna pay
let's
market
look at that
value.
thing too, though. I don't think if they go with a standard dumpster, though, we don't have a truck that will pick up a standard dumpster.
No, they would have to get their own, they'd have to
They'd
make
have
their
to
own contracts
contract
with
with
the Republic.
Now, that's why I think, then you're talking about another truck, as you say, the commercial garbage business, possibly, because some of the containers that we can pick up won't fit where it needs to
No,
fit.
we don't have to pick up those, we don't have the forks
Yeah.
to pick up the containers. There's no question about it. But our garbage is for citizens. There isn't a community anywhere that the town is responsible for commercial garbage, especially at these rates.
I agree and I disagree. And I think it's a double-edged sword, that being a small town, our circumstances here are a little bit different than if we were in Boone or.
What about
you know,
Banner Oak?
Or.
They have commercial and
Another.
and they're not picking up their garbage.
So it's a double-edged sword where should we be providing some of these services to the businesses on Beach Mountain? Part of me says, yes, we should. That's something that's something that we should provide. And then the flip side of that is, they need to be on their own.
You know how much I hate to disagree, to agree with Widener, but everyone says we should subsidize the businesses more. This is kind of how we are doing it. This is a unique environment.
I don't know if we need to subsidize it. We
Well-
just don't need to make it any difficult, and they
Well,
need to pay market value.
There is nothing wrong with charging them a market rate if they will be in compliant with what our equipment plan is going to be. We're not going to do this to them overnight. But if we leave here saying this is the equipment we're going to buy, this is the way we're going to operate our recycling center, these are the rates we're going to charge, and this is the equipment that you must have, or welcome to the private market.
I think that this is going to take some time to digest where we are and some of these are condominiums and some are businesses.
Well, look at the Alpine Inn. I mean, they're paying $109.
Now, is that emptied, how frequent is that emptied? Once what?
Once a week.
Once a week? So you charge $109 per week. So with the tonnage, I mean, is using them as example, is Beach Mountain losing money, breaking even?
To be honest, I have not looked at them to tell. That has not been something I've looked at as far as those rates go.
That's where
if they am, we're probably making money off that.
If I rolled the dice on it, I'd say the town's probably making money off of it. But some of these other areas where it's between 10 and 20 bucks, you know, we're losing our shirt. I think this entails, or it deserves, more information, and we need to digest it a little bit more. I think
What
all
do
the
you
points are
consider
valid.
commercial? What's considered
In
commercial?
the ordinance, lots of things that you and I would consider commercial. If it's a multifamily, they consider it commercial as far as the rate schedules go. It's best I can understand.
So
it's not
everything
like-
here is commercial?
It's not like the water where we took Dale and let him go through every class and figure out who was what. And it was pretty convoluted back then.
I guess my question would be then, what should be considered commercial?
Yeah.
Are condominiums considered commercial? Is it just restaurants that are considered commercial?
But right now, anything that has a dumpster is considered commercial. And some of the condos do, the restaurants, the resort used to did, the club has dumpsters, they're considered commercial. There's just weird places you find dumpsters up here. Cedar Village, not Cedar Village, Christie Village, they have dumpsters. Cedar Village doesn't.
Holiday Beach doesn't.
Yeah, you went through that several years ago, we went through that, so I don't know. And it probably, you know, which is probably a good time to do this since we are in budget, that we could look at it, try to look at the rates and see who deserves what, and see how it changes.
So just kind of recap, I've got a question. So it sounds like the council's not really willing to send a letter to commercial operations saying as of July 1st, we're going to drop it. It sounds like you want us to do a little bit more fee work.
It sounds like to me, from what Carl and Widener's input is that we don't necessarily drop them, but we look at what the commercial rate would be, and then come back to council and then decide, do we offer them a commercial rate? What does that do for the issue that we're having for the next 18 months to 2 years in the recycling center? Or do we decide, depending on what that impact would be, even though we're not losing money, but it has not solved our problem in the recycling center, do we discuss actually making them go to Republic instead? And that would have to come back to us once we figure out what those market rates are.
I think we
You know,
also need to
my,
make
my,
sure.
my fear would be, my response, if I owned one of those businesses, I'll remove the dumpster. I'm gonna bring my trash to your recycle center anyway.
But you still have to pay for it. That's the bottom line, is you're still, Holiday Beach is still paying for garbage even though we don't have dumpsters.
Along these rates, if you don't have a special rate structure.
Right.
I don't think we tell them we're cutting them off. These
Right.
remain our partners. I think they need to know we've identified this is a shortfall in our cost structure. And once we know where we're going, you know, if we're building, these are gonna be your options.
Right.
You know,
That's what I'm saying.
your dumpsters, if you choose to have us do it, and I think we should
It's
be, I still think we should be a little below what Republic Redemption charges as part of our community, but it needs to be closer to, and then they have to be in compliant with the equipment that works for the town.
I agree with Carl. And, you know, and it needs to be as close to, we can identify what our cost is. You know what it costs to operate that truck per mile. You know what it costs per ton. I mean, you know, per man hour, you're probably looking somewhere around $30 an hour. And then to operate that truck and go down to $30, $35.
You can also make it simple. Have Republic quote, give us a quote. You can make it simple. We got this, and this. one container, two containers, or whatever, at a different size. Let them give you a quote, you'll know what the going rate is.
But their quote's gonna be based on using their dumpster.
Well,
Their
So
dumpster,
you'd
their
have to-
equipment, their amortization.
You'd have to
but
adjust
they're gonna
that.
have to get the
You can
different
probably look
dumpsters
at what we
anyway.
got on those two dumpsters, and that's what it's gonna be.
We got a quote with, years ago when we got rid of our dumpsters, and the council at that time said, yeah, you can go with Republic, and it was gonna be twice as much as what we were paying.
Yeah, if you want to look
I mean,
dumpster,
so-
good dumpster picked up from Republic, it's up there, it's 400 and
Yeah,
$190.95
right.
a week.
a week.
A week.
That's for two, 8
It's for
yards.
two. So if you cut that in half, you're doing one.
So you already know then what the
And,
market rate's
one thing
gonna
they
be.
may end up doing, and, this is just a wild thing out there, if they get enough customers,
They discount it.
they may discount because they're running truck for more than 2 pickups.
I guess that's what they've done in Banner Elk, is they've contracted with the town of Banner Elk, but they bill each individual homeowner that wants to have pickup, but they got a good rate because of the number of people that they've got. So, yeah, they'll do that. So if they get an X number of businesses up here, how much would they, discount it?
And then that becomes our obligation to be disclose, hide nothing from them. Let them get together as an association of businesses. Maybe they can cut a better deal, but let them know this change is coming as far as what you're receiving from the town.
Right.
And if you want to contract with Republic as an association of business owners that need trash hauled, but we need to give them that information earlier instead of later.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
You know,
I don't have a problem with that.
if you took a quote from Republic Services, and then if you figured, and I think my numbers would be pretty accurate, we're pretty close, that it probably costs the town between $30 and $35 an hour, and you're looking at what they make per hour, you're looking at insurance and 401k, health, you're looking at everything. So you look at what it costs per hour, and it probably costs about between $3.50 and $4 to run that garbage truck. $4 per mile, give or take. That may be a little bit high. Then you know how much it also costs per ton. So you've got 3 or 4 variables in there that you can get real close
Well, then you
to.
got fuel, wear and tear on the truck.
Well, that's
Well, that's
the
the
$4.
$4 a
That's the
mile.
$4.
Normally, if you want to buy something up here, what we do, and I think it goes back to standard FEMA deals, it's about $48 an hour if you're doing a small piece of equipment.
Would the town be interested, the council be interested, or kind of doing what Banner Elk did with their residential, but us with our commercial, is we talk to Republic, these are the commercial businesses that we're talking about, can you give us a discounted rate if all of these businesses are included in that? And if that's the case, the businesses may not be paying, they would get that discount that you're talking is because they're part of the community, but they're not impacting our recycling center.
We can ask them. I will say there's one thing, we asked them back in November to give us a price on doing all our pickups, residential pickups. They still have not gotten back to us. They're not very interested or motivated. But we could
Well,
ask them.
Does it hurt to find out how much they would cost if they got all of these commercial businesses?
Okay, let's go back and try to simplify it for me.
Yeah, if you
So I
can
can-
send it to me.
Okay, it looks like we're gonna go ahead and buy the truck. We need to go ahead and send that out, that's in the budget. We'll get, if this is gonna be more, so buy the truck. The council wants us to come back maybe in March with our version of commercial rates. And then the third thing, sounds like we want to see if Republic will give us a price to do all our commercial through us, but then they bill the commercial individually as a package deal.
And the fourth,
What's it for?
leave it the way it is.
Leave it the way it is, yes. So, that
Yes.
kind of some,
I think that recaps it well.
okay, all right.
So, in the time being, between today and when some of these decisions can be made, if you remove the metal container, can you move that and add a couple dumpsters?
We've already moved it. If I take it out completely, I might can cram one in there.
Well, not only that, but what are you gonna do with all the metal?
Yeah, where's the metal?
Where's the metal gonna go? That container's full,
It gets
within
filled
1 or
off.
2 days, it's full.
You've redesigned, so to speak, lack of a better term, what it looks like, correct? Why don't we just wait and see how that works before we start making other decisions? Because that might work well or it might not, but let's see and wait. And, you know, with the weekend coming up,
And this will be a busy weekend.
so it'll be a good test to
We
see
can
how
see
it
what it
goes.
does. I mean, like I said, we've got 2 yards, and we actually brought another 18-yard down and put it in too.
So you've added, and I thought that's what you said earlier, and I wanted clarity on that. You've already changed, I mean, I didn't know what you did, I just took a quick snapshot. It looked cleaner, it looked tighter, and it looked like you had more containers.
I'm
Now,
sure
whether they
it's,
get-
I'm sure it's
if they can
tighter.
get the dumpsters out and then full, that's gonna be
So-
the interesting question.
We did move everything closer. We put another 18, and we got 2 30s down there right now.
So more capacity has been added.
Oh, yeah, a lot.
Okay, well, I mean, like
As
Renee
much
said,
as much as we can as of right now with the room we've got.
I mean, I think this weekend will be a good tester of the adjustments that have been made this past week.
No,
And
it
let's
does.
reboot on Monday.
With those 30 yards though, doesn't mean you're not gonna have piles of trash in there.
And I was just saying, and I'm perfectly fine with that over these. You guys are doing, the days that you took the picture, when you saw me unloading trash from my house. I was back 3 hours later and it had been emptied. They're working that constantly. You can always make your argument with a snapshot in time. It's not from a lack of Herculean effort, and I'm not necessarily sure that I want that much effort in cleaning my dump. But I get it. But, it's going to be full this weekend. If you see me there Sunday morning cleaning up trash from houses, I fully expect it to be overflowing. It's a sign that
Hope that
there
it
was
is
a lot of
overflowing.
visitors on the mountain and they're following instructions and taking their trash to the dump on their way off the mountain, and we'll see you again next year. What I don't want to see is more photos, because I don't believe it's a lack of effort, a lack of dedication, a lack of trying. It is simply we have outgrown the capacity of that area, and every effort to address it, I believe, has been made, and it's still going to look like a dump Sunday afternoon, Sunday morning, as the folks are leaving the mountain. This weekend, Monday, because it's a holiday weekend.
So those photos were over a 7-month period. It's been an ongoing,
It doesn't matter.
let me finish my statement, please. It's been an ongoing complaint, and that's one of the reasons I ran for council, to make our recycling center look better. So where we are today, we're in a better position today with our recycling center than we were a week ago. So you added an 18-yard container, and you've added, and then a 30. So, that's an improvement.
And it's still going to be overflowing.
But you know what? It's an improvement. Even though if it's overflowing, it is an improvement.
It has looked fantastic at other times. Volume is volume. They can't, if we want to sit there and say you can't come in right now,
We're full.
we're mopping the pavement.
It's an improvement where we were last week, and thank you for what you guys have done.
Robert, the only thing is, we'll have to educate the people to put the garbage in the 30, in the 30.
They're pretty good.
Charlie's pretty good about
The
telling
only
you where he
problem with that
wants to.
It's for short people.
I've had to help women throw
It's hard to
get
their,
kidding.
to throw their garbage in those 30 cubic.
Yeah,
I'm glad y'all brought it up, because that's a question I was gonna ask you.
I was
Have you got
gonna
any
see,
complaints
can you
about-
put footstools there for some of us, but, okay.
Yeah, and we put
So,
40 yards
Matt,
last winter. and
You added an 18 and 2 30s.
Well, that's my point. They'll still go to the little ones, fill those up, and the other one won't be full.
Charlie is
130 and
here,
118.
And he's basically.
Thank you.
He
like,
directs
gone in
and he's
he's
willing
like, can
to
you go over
assist.
that one? I've been by myself, and I'm like, yeah, I'll get it for you, Renee, and, of course Darren doesn't have any problems, but
Yeah.
that's the only
Porter-
problem.
Porter's doing pretty good
Porter's
too.
doing good, the new guy.
So another question is that, and Carl made a statement that he went there 3 hours later and it was clean. Is it an option to have those cans empty depending on how much trash comes in on, I don't know what time Public Works comes in on Sunday, but a couple weeks ago, they were emptying the cans maybe around 12 o'clock, 1 o'clock
They've done that, emptied them once before that.
in the morning.
Yeah.
So they
You
filled
guys
up.
are doing what you need to do.
Yeah, I mean, you're doing a hell of a job.
I've had drivers, James and the garbage boys that came in every Sunday around 6. By 6:30, most times I don't empty, and last couple of weekends, we've had to do it 3 times a day.
And y'all start emptying those cans at what time on Sunday mornings?
Sunday mornings, I'm not here every Sunday, I don't know. They should be emptied by at least 7. 'Cause
Yeah, this depends on when they get in.
when they get here. I mean,
Now,
it
the
takes
dump
a
is
while.
open or closed?
It opens at 6.
On the
Yeah,
weekends, on the
six.
weekends?
It opens at 6.
Not, all right, I'm talking about
They're
that.
recycling.
They're
they're
open
landfill.
on Saturday, they're not open on Sunday.
So when you empty on Sunday, you're keeping it in the truck on Monday.
Yeah, we have to.
So then you can't
Unload it on
unload,
Monday.
so you can't take the containers until you go back down, come back,
Right.
and then load it again and go back.
Which again returns to, it's a capacity issue.
Right.
We are at capacity.
Okay.
I mean, I think they're doing everything, and I just don't like, not comfortable attacking that we're not doing everything that can be done.
No, again, since last week, they increased the capacity to a 30-yard container and an 18.
I mean, I think even going on, for the last year and a half, it's been better. There are going to be times when the number of guests on the mountain exceed the capacity, not only of Public Works, but of our restaurants, bars, and lodging. That is the nature of what we do. It's radical spikes. Now, if we could say we had this number of people every day, 12 months a year, it would solve water use problems, garbage. That's not the way our calendar flows. It's all peaks and valleys. And I think we're doing a hell of a job getting through the peaks.
Okay. I think we've covered this. We have,
We've determined you're doing a good job.
Tim, you're clear on what direction you
Yes,
need to
we're gonna
go.
go-
You guys are clear.
We're gonna go ahead and order the truck. We're gonna come back in March with our fees for commercial, and hopefully at the same time, maybe some kind of proposal for, Republic to take it over through us. And then, of course, there's the do nothing option, but those are things we're doing right now.
Okay.
And then we're still gonna come back in budget series and ask for another employee down at the recycling center, so. that's where
Okay.
we're at right now.
And, I mean, Tim, to
And
add
we'll
to
have-
what,
The extra dumpsters you added is just for this holiday weekend, right?
Yeah.
So those dumpsters will go away in the slow period, but will come back every holiday weekend from now until we have the new recycling center.
If we get them out.
If it works, we can do it.
We might be closing the dump,
So why don't
I
you
might
have
be
a question?
frustrated, right?
knock the wall out.
well, I think one thing that we need to do also is we need to figure out, if you get the quote from Republic Services, as I mentioned earlier, about, I think you said with FEMA said $48 an hour. I mean, you can tell, or you can calculate how much it costs an employee up here per hour. And then also I go back to how much it costs per mile, and take Republic Services quote, and then take what it costs us per mile. And our cost is probably going to be 20 to 30% less than Republic Services. And,
Even with the tipping fee.
yeah, absolutely. So you take those 3 components, and I would compare it against what Republic Services would charge.
I mean, yeah, that's,
Right.
if our cost is not less, I would be, very much
it's-
surprised.
Well, they are in the business to make money.
Yeah.
They are a for-profit
That's why I say
business.
it's-
They're, you know,
5% on top, so.
Absolutely.
Will you send that to me when you write it down?
Yes. I'll send that to you.
What's next?
Next is to, we're out to the point now where we can go over citizen, staff, and manager concerns.
We take a 5-minute
We
break?
can take a 5-minute break. Yep.
Okay.
So we can go over all the concerns and have lunch break and come back and play.
lunch break.
Well, it's at lunch break.
It's too early.
But you don't eat.
No, but I mean,